On October 19th, 2017, Pawn stars spotted an object moving rapidly between the stars. In 2017, astronomers discovered Oumuamua, the first interstellar object in our solar system. When the astronomical community first detected Oumuamua in 2017, it was an object unlike any other. It was the first confirmed interstellar visitor to our solar system. Elongated, tumbling, and moving at speeds that couldn't be easily explained by the sun's gravity alone. Speculation swirled from natural asteroid origins to the wilder possibility of it being a probe from an advanced civilization. Years passed, and the object sped beyond our reach, seemingly a one-time cosmic encounter. But now, Neil deGrasse Tyson has stunned both scientists and the public by revealing that not only has Oumuamua suddenly returned, but it's brought companions. Before we start, please like and subscribe for more speculative cosmic updates. This revelation reopens the enigma that has haunted astronomers since that first brief visit. What exactly is Oumuamua? How did it leave and return on a path that seems inconsistent with known gravitational dynamics? And most disturbingly, what are these other objects trailing or accompanying it? Tyson's announcement isn't just another scientific update. It represents a shift in how we understand our solar system's place in a larger active cosmic environment. The idea of interstellar visitors used to belong mostly to science fiction, but this development pushes it firmly into our scientific reality. Oumuamua's reappearance didn't follow a predictable trajectory. No known forces should have been able to redirect it back toward the inner solar system, especially not within such a relatively short span of time. Yet it is unmistakably the same object, same dimensions, same irregular tumbling motion, and the same anomalous acceleration that made it infamous. Observatories across the globe have trained their instruments on its re-entry path, confirming that the object has returned under conditions that defy our current understanding of orbital mechanics. More intriguing is the configuration in which it returns, not alone, but accompanied by several similar objects, each exhibiting erratic movements and speeds just outside the threshold of conventional astrophysics. What makes the current situation even more mysterious is the behavior of these accompanying bodies. They do not behave like a debris field or shattered fragments of a larger mass. Instead, they appear coordinated. Their positions, speeds, and trajectories suggest a form of movement that's not random, as though following a pattern or adhering to some unobserved controlling force. This has raised immediate questions among astrophysicists and planetary scientists alike. Is there a mechanism of propulsion or control we cannot yet detect? Are these truly natural objects, or are they artificial constructs? Their purpose still cloaked in the cosmic silence they arrived with. Neil deGrasse Tyson has never been one to indulge in sensationalism, which is precisely why his public discussion of this return carries such weight. He has emphasized the unexplained elements not to provoke fear, but to highlight the unprecedented nature of what we are witnessing. The scientific method thrives on unexplained phenomena, but the implications here stretch far beyond traditional boundaries. We are possibly observing behavior that has no known precedent in cosmic events. These are not comets on elliptical orbits. These are not asteroids perturbed by Jupiter's gravitational pull. These objects have entered from interstellar space, left, and now returned with company. The physics of the situation are daunting. The original mystery of Oumuamua's non-gravitational acceleration remains unsolved. Theories range from outgassing to radiation pressure from sunlight, but none adequately explained its sharp deviation from expected trajectories. Its lack of a visible cometary tail, unusual shape, and acceleration pattern all pointed to something never before seen. The return trip adds yet another layer of complexity. For an object to re-enter our solar system, it must lose energy or be redirected by forces external to our sun's gravity. This isn't easily accomplished without interaction, either with other celestial bodies or through intelligent control. But Oumuamua had no close encounters in deep space that we are aware of. No gravitational slingshot that could explain such a maneuver. Then there's the question of the companions. These aren't mere tag-alongs. They are of varying sizes, shapes, and velocities. And yet, they move with a kind of synchronization that belies random origin. Some appear to spiral or oscillate around a central trajectory, occasionally drifting closer to Oumuamua before resuming wider orbits. The instruments tracking them suggest materials that reflect light differently than typical asteroids or comets, leading some researchers to consider whether they possess surfaces engineered or shaped for purposes beyond passive movement. The mere hint of this has electrified communities of scientists, engineers, and thinkers across the globe. The implications extend beyond planetary science. If these objects are natural, we are witnessing a previously unknown class of interstellar bodies, and their study will revolutionize our understanding of how material moves across galaxies. But if there is any indication, any whisper of artificial origin, the consequences are far more profound. It would mean we are not alone in the universe, and that some other intelligence has not only reached out beyond their star system, but is capable of revisiting ours. The philosophical and scientific reverberations of that possibility cannot be overstated. As humanity watches these mysterious objects trace silent arcs through the black canvas of space, there is a renewed sense of cosmic curiosity. Telescopes, like the James Webb, and ground-based observatories have pivoted to monitor the group, analyzing light spectra, mapping movement, and collecting data with a fervor unmatched since the original detection. There is an urgency now, a desire to understand, to decode, to interpret. If these are indeed signs of intelligent life, they are signs without language. They come with no broadcast, no message, no handshake, just motion and presence. Among the questions being asked in labs and observatories is whether this return was intentional. If it was, then why now? Is Earth itself the target of observation? Is it coincidental that Oumuamua's return occurs at a time when our own technological capacity to observe and respond has advanced significantly? Perhaps it's only now in this century that we could even begin to understand what we are seeing. The objects may have passed by 100 years ago and gone unnoticed. The vast silence of space does not demand interpretation. But now, as we begin to observe more clearly, space is offering us something to interpret. What further deepens the mystery is that the group has not yet taken a consistent course toward the inner solar system. They are skimming the outer regions, observing perhaps, or maybe calibrating. Their presence feels poised, waiting. The objects do not communicate in any detectable way. No radio signals, no light pulses, no energy surges betray any awareness of human observation. And yet, their sheer precision implies design or intent. They exhibit gravity-defying shifts that current models cannot explain. For instance, one object has been seen to hover, if such a word can be used, stationary relative to the others for hours before abruptly adjusting course with no visible propulsion. All of this makes clear that we are dealing with something our current tools and theories may not be equipped to understand. Tyson has urged calm and scientific rigor in the face of these questions. Yet, the undercurrent of astonishment cannot be denied. This is no ordinary event. It is the kind of occurrence that defines eras, the kind of celestial anomaly that will be studied for decades, even centuries to come. Whether this becomes the foundation for a new branch of astronomy, or the first tentative step into something wholly other, interstellar diplomacy, cosmic archaeology, or something we don't yet have language for, it has already changed the narrative. More than anything, the return of Oumuamua, now not as a solitary traveler, but as part of a procession, reminds humanity of how little we truly know. It is a humbling moment, one that strips away assumptions about isolation and reaffirms the magnitude of the universe. In this vast expanse, the notion that Earth is a lonely oasis is now being tested by facts that cannot be easily denied or dismissed. Whether these are messengers, explorers, relics, or something altogether stranger, they are here. They have returned, and they are watching. Even in silence, they speak volumes. Their configuration, their timing, their impossible re-entry. Each is a clue. Each demands attention. And while many are quick to urge patience and caution, others are racing to decode, to understand. Across the scientific world, collaborative projects are springing up, pooling data and resources to model these new dynamics. There is speculation that these visitors may not be the only ones. Perhaps there are others yet unseen, hiding in the shadows of gas giants or lurking just beyond the heliopause. The possibility that we are now under observation opens doors of thought that humanity has only toyed with in fiction. And still, the objects move silently. They are not in a hurry. They do not burn fuel, do not radiate energy in ways we can measure. They glide as though the laws of inertia and gravity are suggestions rather than rules. Their relationship to each other suggests intelligence, or at least design. Whether they represent the remnants of an ancient civilization or are emissaries from a distant future, they defy the casual expectations we've built around our understanding of space. In their path, they leave a trail, not of light, but of questions. There is something poetic in the way they have returned, not with fanfare, but with presence, like ancient ships appearing on the horizon. Their sails unfurled not in war, but in exploration. And like those early explorers from Earth's own history, they raise the same questions. Who sent them? Why are they here? What do they know of us? And what do they intend? The coming weeks and months will likely provide more data, more observations, perhaps even breakthroughs in understanding. But the core mystery may remain unsolved for years. What we can say for certain is that this moment marks a turning point. Oumuamua's return, along with its silent companions, has expanded the boundaries of our known universe. It has nudged open a door we didn't even know existed, and through it, we are beginning to glimpse a cosmos more strange and wondrous than we ever imagined. From the moment the anomalous objects re-entered the observational range of our outer solar system, there was an immediate shift in the tone of the scientific community. This was not merely a revisitation of Oumuamua as it was once known, but the beginning of a completely new encounter, one that diverged sharply from what any had anticipated. The entire scenario unfolded with a degree of unpredictability, as if even nature itself had stepped out of line. Now, with several accompanying bodies, none behaving like debris or typical asteroids, the focus has shifted not just to observation, but to a growing awareness that something entirely unfamiliar has entered our celestial neighborhood. One of the more startling elements now being analyzed is the sheer geometric precision exhibited in the spatial arrangement of these objects. Rather than meandering randomly as gravitationally bound bodies might do after a breakup or collision, the ensemble forms patterns, rotational ellipses, phased formations, and orbit-like spirals around a central invisible axis. Advanced visual tracking algorithms have mapped these configurations, showing consistent adjustments to relative distance and speed. The mathematics behind the motion is elegant, yet not reflective of any known gravitational interaction. If gravity were solely at play, then some degradation or chaotic motion would be expected over time. That simply isn't happening. In fact, the data reveals what appears to be a sustained and deliberate spatial configuration, something akin to an interstellar dance or choreography regulated with impeccable timing. These patterns aren't just beautiful, they seem purposeful, suggesting a structural system at work. The symmetry alone hints at the possibility of technology, or at the very least, a principle of physics that humanity has yet to uncover. Some researchers are beginning to hypothesize the presence of a collective propulsion framework, an inter-object communication of position and intent, maybe through a field effect or resonant vibration beyond our detection. At the center of all this intrigue lies the unchanged mystery of Oumuamua itself. This original visitor has not decelerated upon return, nor has it altered its tumbling rotation. But what is different now is its role in the configuration. It holds a central position, not necessarily the lead, but an anchor around which the others seem to adjust. This indicates either leadership, origin, or a nucleus-like function within the group. If these bodies are indeed linked, whether by physics or fabrication, Oumuamua may not be the anomaly we thought it was, but rather the first visible part of a larger network, perhaps even the scout or beacon of a much broader phenomenon. What adds another layer of fascination is the behavior of the objects in relation to planetary alignments. Since their arrival, several of the bodies have subtly altered trajectory in tandem with Jupiter's movement, almost as though registering its mass, speed, and magnetosphere. It appears that these objects are sampling or responding to large gravitational wells. Some even trace temporary orbital arcs before veering off as if completing a survey. The precision of these movements suggests advanced predictive navigation, implying that the visitors are not just passing through, but actively studying. Meanwhile, Earth-based observatories are now working in tandem with deep space telescopes to simulate potential interaction models. These simulations examine the kind of communication that might be happening between the objects: non-electromagnetic pulses, field distortions, or even tiny fluctuations in local space-time fabric. What's emerging is an entirely new class of inquiry, a blend of astrophysics and speculative engineering, where scientists must wrestle not with what can be seen, but with what can be inferred. A particularly compelling aspect is how the objects interact with solar radiation. Conventional interstellar debris either absorbs or reflects solar energy in a predictable way. Yet in this case, Some of the companions seem to manipulate solar photons differently. They don't just reflect, they refract, redirect, or even absorb and remit in narrow bandwidths as if coated with metamaterials. These surface behaviors do not correlate with naturally occurring mineral compositions. If substantiated, this could signify synthetic fabrication, materials engineered for control over thermal and light-based interactions. It has even been suggested that the objects might be harvesting solar energy in ways that mimic high-efficiency photovoltaic arrays, although any such function remains purely theoretical for now. Curiously, no known electromagnetic communication has been detected. No radio signals, no bursts, no pings across standard frequencies. This absence of signal is itself noteworthy. It either means the objects are not communicating in a detectable fashion, or their communication happens on a medium we cannot yet observe. Possibilities range from neutrino-based information systems to quantum entanglement-style transmissions, methods that exist more in theory than in present technology. The silence, then, is not reassuring. It is eerie, pregnant with potential meaning. Equally perplexing is their complete disinterest in Earth. None of the bodies have shifted course toward our planet. Not even marginal trajectory changes hint at observational focus. This aloofness implies that Earth is either too primitive to merit study, or that the purpose of this visit lies elsewhere, perhaps rooted in larger interstellar geography or celestial mechanics we don't yet understand. They seem more interested in gravitational fields, magnetic signatures, and the quiet harmonic pulses of planetary alignments. Their priority is not contact, it is understanding, or perhaps confirmation. Some theorists have put forward the idea that we might be witnessing a calibration event. If these objects are probes, automated long-range instruments, they may be revisiting prior locations for the sake of recalibration, just as Earth satellites occasionally revisit calibration stars to correct their internal instruments. These interstellar visitors could be verifying cosmic data points, mapping planetary fields over extended epochs, or comparing time-dilated measurements gathered over light years. This concept aligns with their symmetrical motion and timed adjustments, less as explorers, more as auditors of celestial systems. There's also a temporal enigma at play. If these objects were traveling for centuries or millennia to arrive at this moment, how is it they return now, barely 8 years after first contact? Are they capable of faster than expected transit across interstellar distances? If so, then either they traveled via unknown propulsion systems, or they've employed nonlinear spatial manipulation, perhaps folds in space, temporary wormholes, or the exploitation of subdimensional corridors. These are subjects firmly embedded in theoretical physics, but their reemergence within a real-world context compels a reevaluation of what might be technically feasible. In academic circles, workshops are being rapidly convened to address the implications of repeated contact. Many are operating under the assumption that this is not a fluke. If one group has returned, there may be others. The principle of cosmic silence, the Fermi paradox, might now be unraveling not through grand signals or obvious invasions, but through quiet, strategic observation. A theory gaining traction suggests that advanced civilizations may operate on a principle of non-interference unless certain thresholds are crossed, technological markers perhaps, or specific patterns of behavior that signal readiness for inclusion in a larger network. Could these visitors be silent orbiters, measuring whether humanity qualifies? Simultaneously, cultural shifts are beginning. Think tanks in sociology and philosophy are drawing parallels between this event and ancient myths of sky visitors, celestial guardians, or watchers. The human psyche, long conditioned by folklore and religion to regard the heavens as inhabited, finds itself drawn into age-old narratives, now through the lens of science rather than belief. The impact on our collective imagination is immeasurable. Humanity has always yearned for connection beyond itself. Now it may be forced to confront that yearning with a reality it was never prepared to accept. Back in space, the most surprising behavior yet occurred just days after their re-entry was confirmed. One of the companion objects broke formation. It did not spiral out chaotically or drift away at random. Instead, it accelerated smoothly, cleanly, and rapidly on a tangential path toward the outer solar system. The motion violated all expectations. Acceleration in space, without apparent thrust or reaction mass, is unknown to us, save for speculative propulsion concepts such as warp fields or exotic particle manipulation. This act sent ripples through the observational community. It was deliberate. It was controlled. And it raised the possibility that these objects are not just surveyors, but scouts, sentinels, or couriers. There's now the looming question of permanence. Will these objects remain? Will they orbit indefinitely like artificial moons? Or are they merely transients already preparing to vanish again across the cosmic ocean? If they leave, will they return with more? Is this just the beginning of a long cycle of visitations? These are no longer idle questions, but primary fields of inquiry. For the first time, astronomical observation is not just about stars or planets. It's about behavior, pattern, and possibly intent. Behind the scenes, a deeper layer of investigation is undoubtedly unfolding within governmental and defense institutions. While much of the data remains public, there are signs that classified sensors designed for missile defense or orbital surveillance are now repurposed to track these anomalous visitors. The lack of panic in public disclosure suggests a tightly managed stream of information. Tyson's statements may well be part of an orchestrated strategy to ease humanity into a new awareness, a slow acclimatization to the reality that we are not the only ones traversing the stars. Yet despite the magnitude of the discovery, a strange calm prevails. The visitors have not intruded. They have not signaled dominance or superiority. Their very presence seems to carry a message, not in language, but in action, patience, precision, and purpose. There is no fear in their movement, no aggression in their silence. If anything, their behavior could be interpreted as respectful, a kind of cosmic etiquette in action, approaching without intrusion, watching without interference. One possible interpretation is that these objects are akin to time capsules or cosmic observers sent to preserve knowledge or monitor evolution across epochs. Their long silence and detached positioning suggests they are not meant to interact in real time. Instead, they may observe changes over millennia, comparing planetary development across solar systems. In that framework, Earth becomes one node in a much larger network of watch points, a living archive of life's evolution under differing conditions. Alternatively, some have proposed a darker reading. The objects could represent a form of interstellar immune system designed not to communicate, but to evaluate risk. If civilizations reach a point of unpredictability or aggression, they may be cataloged, contained, or even neutralized. Though no sign of hostility has been detected, the presence of objects capable of motion outside conventional physics raises the issue of capability. Should intentions shift, these visitors might possess tools beyond our defense systems. That possibility, while remote, cannot be discounted outright. There's also the question of legacy. How will this event be remembered? Will it be seen as the dawn of cosmic awareness, the moment humanity truly acknowledged its role as one of many intelligent forces in the universe? Or will it fade, buried beneath bureaucracy and secrecy? So far, the signs point to the former. Educational platforms are already adapting new curricula to teach students about interstellar phenomena. Artists, writers, filmmakers, creators of all types are responding to the awe and mystery with new visions, new questions, and new dreams. The return of Oumuamua and its silent companions has done more than challenge science. It has awakened wonder. It has reminded us that exploration is not a closed chapter, and that discovery is not just about what lies within reach, but what lies just beyond it. In their silence, in their mathematical grace, these objects have become mirrors, not of our technology, but of our curiosity, our humility, and our infinite capacity for awe. They are still out there moving, watching. Their presence whispers of ancient stars, forgotten galaxies, and the deep, unspoken language of the universe. Whether they are probes, pilgrims, or mere cosmic drifters, they have opened a doorway in the sky, one we can never again ignore. And perhaps that is the most extraordinary thing of all. Not that they have returned, but that in doing so, they have changed us forever. The resumption of movement from one of the accompanying objects, its clean, gravity-defying acceleration away from the formation, marked a pivot in the interpretation of these events. That maneuver wasn't just unexpected. It signaled autonomy, initiative, and perhaps more significantly, an intelligence encoded into the objects themselves. Not human intelligence as we define it, but one unmistakably capable of decision-making in complex environments. The acceleration vector was plotted meticulously. It avoided gravitational interference from Saturn and its moons, skirted the heliospheric current sheet, and aligned precisely with the solar ecliptic plane before veering off at a sharp angle. An angle, it turned out, that pointed not toward deep space, but toward the heliopause, the boundary where the solar wind gives way to interstellar space. The directionality of this path ignited new theories. It was not fleeing, nor was it floundering. It seemed to be mapping, perhaps recalibrating for a larger pattern of survey that extends beyond our star's immediate reach. If it is following a timed route, measuring gravitational fluctuations, solar emissions, or the boundary pressures at the edge of our system, then it may be one node in a long-standing cycle of galactic observation. Some researchers have gone so far as to call it a shepherd probe, guiding other objects along invisible lanes of cosmic traffic, correcting the symmetry of their formation across astronomical distances. Elsewhere, attention has turned to the silence. Not just the absence of communication, but the absence of any response to our own attempts. Since the return, Earth-based stations have broadcast a variety of carefully modulated signals toward the formation. These range from narrowband pulses and encoded binary sequences to more complex messages containing prime numbers and molecular patterns, signs universally considered as intelligent markers. None have been acknowledged. The objects have remained indifferent. Even when these signals were aimed directly at them, this non-responsiveness has led some to posit that they may not be receiving messages in the electromagnetic spectrum at all. Perhaps they use mechanisms completely outside our realm of experience, vibrations across quantum fields, hyperdimensional resonance, or signal structures that encode data, not in energy, but in geometry. In parallel, a new focus has emerged